to Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz, a transparent and engaging conversational dive into meaningful topics impacting local government in Bismarck, North Dakota. Bismarck Insights is dedicated to removing barriers between the city of Bismarck and the citizens we serve every day.
Hello and welcome to Bismarck Insights. I'm Mayor Mike Schmitz. Today I have with me Chaplain Greg Carr. He's the chaplain for the Crisis Care Chaplaincy here in Bismarck, Mandan, Burley, and Morton County. I think I covered them all. If I missed one, you'll have to let me know. But Greg, thank you for joining me today. This is our opportunity to let our citizens know what the organization does for our community and things that maybe the community can help the chaplaincy program do. So why don't you give a little bit of background of you first, and then we'll talk about the program.
First of all, thanks for having me on today, Mayor, and thank you for your support for the chaplaincy over the years as mayor and even before your time as a mayor, our friendship, and so I appreciate that very much. So what brought me to Bismarck back in 2009, my wife and I became pastors of a church which actually went through a church name change recently, but at that time it was called Prairie Family Church, and we candidated for that church and decided that Bismarck was a place that we wanted to move to and minister to, and fell in love with the people of the city and the people of the church, and just really felt it was a place for us where we'd fit in. And so we moved up here. Our daughter was in a senior in high school, and our other daughter was, I think she was in 5th grade or 4th grade, and uprooted and moved up here and pastored that church for 8 years. And through some different circumstances, I felt it was time to leave that ministry, and this job opened up as the full-time chaplain for the Crisis Care Chaplaincy. And so it's like really a part of my heart. I was part of their volunteer corps for a number of years since 2010, and said, oh well, you know what, this is what I want to do, and so threw my name in the hat and took the job, and been running with that for the last few years.
Great, and we're glad to have you doing that. Let's talk about the actual program a little bit. I don't know that many people even understand what it is, what you do, and really who you're actually providing services to, and it's pretty wide.
It's wide. We began in 1979. Pastor George Walker and a couple other gentlemen saw the need for chaplaincy within the Bismarck Police Department, and so they founded the Bismarck Law Enforcement Chaplaincy during that time. I believe there was Pastor Walker and 2 or 3 other pastors in the area. Other departments started seeing the value of needing chaplains for their agencies, and so it began to grow, expand. Burley County Sheriff's Department, BCI, North Dakota Highway Patrol, these different agencies began to see the benefit of having chaplains within their departments. Bismarck Fire, Bismarck Rural Fire, and so from that humble beginning in 1979, it's grown to now serving 12 different agencies in the Bismarck, Burley County area, and we just continue to serve those men and women as they do the jobs that they do. I have 13 volunteer chaplains and 1 paid chaplain, and we station each chaplain in a different area, a different first responder group, whether it's dispatch or metro ambulance or fire or police departments, and so they serve those men and women in those agencies. That's their first priority. Their top priority are the men and women of the agencies.
And so are those individuals who serve as the chaplain for those agencies, are they there in-house, so to speak, on a regular basis? I mean, let's get so we get a feel for what they're doing and how frequently, I guess.
That's a great question. They're volunteers. All of our chaplains are either pastors or deacons in area churches, and we have a vast variety of Pentecostal, Lutheran, Nazarene, and Catholic chaplains, and so vast majority of different faith backgrounds. They are volunteers. They will stop into the stations or the departments. They'll do station visits, or they'll do ride-alongs for the police department. and they'll spend time getting to know the members of the agencies, the men and the women, building relationships with them. For example, as full-time chaplain, my office is at the jail. And so part of my responsibilities is the men and women at the detention center, the guards at the detention center. So I'll go out into the jail and just spend time talking to the guards, getting to know them, and them getting to know me. That builds trust between our chaplains and our agencies. And then when those agencies are having things happen that are stressful, maybe it's an officer involved in a shooting, or maybe it's a house fire where an individual has died, or maybe it's something that happened in the jail that caused the stress for the guard, then they're going to call that chaplain and they're going to say, hey, can we talk? We're there for their emotional and spiritual well-being. And so, again, we're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for our agencies. Even though most of them are volunteers, they are on call for them all the time.
And that leads us right into serving in the emergency situation, right? That's a very stressful time, not only for the individuals affected by that situation, whether it be a fire or some other catastrophe in the community, but our first responders. So what happens? Let's walk through that a little bit.
I mean, the stress of being a first responder is probably like no other stress there is. You're seeing people at their worst. You're helping people at their worst. You're seeing all of the bad things. You're being exposed to death and injury and child injuries, and you're just exposed to all of the bad things that happen within our community. And that may be only 5% of what they do, but that 5% will take a toll on those individuals. And so within the first responder agencies, we have kind of a three-stool step, if you will, to help deal with the stress that they take. We have chaplains available for all of our agencies in the area and some of our city workers as well. I've worked with some of them before as well. And then we have peer support in a lot of our different departments where they can talk to somebody that's already in the department that's trained. And then we have EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program, which offers them free counseling through different agencies within our city. So the chaplaincy is just one step for their emotional and spiritual well-being.
Yeah, and again, like we talked, those are certainly the traumatic events, but there are other events that occur in any of these first responders' lives on a day-to-day basis, and you're there for that too.
There's the everyday things that happen. The troubles with the spouse, or the troubles with the children, or the things that happen every day in life that cause stress that affect the job that they do. We often tell people, don't take the stress of your work home with you. That's impossible, especially for a first responder, when their day is a roller coaster day of seeing things and then having boredom and not seeing things and not doing anything. I mean, it's a roller coaster day for them. And so as chaplains, we can help focus on their mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and help get them to a point where they're resilient in their job. And if they're resilient, they're able to bounce back from anything and do the job that they are called to do, which is to protect and serve and put out the fires and care for the sick and do all of the things that they're supposed to do.
So I know there are also, in addition to these events that occur through the community, whether it's a fire or it be involved shooting, but I know of some situations where there have been individuals within a department who have had a family catastrophe, or they themselves may have passed away from a health matter that was unexpected. That has an impact on the rest of the staff too, does it not?
It does. When Officer Fuller died just recently, that had an effect on everybody from dispatch, EMS, fire, everybody that was on that call. And they might need to talk about it. They might need to dump their bucket about stuff like that. Yep. And so, that's why the chaplain goes into the stations does the ride-alongs, does those things to build those relationships so that when those bad things happen, they have somebody to talk to, somebody they can trust.
And that's so important. Now, we've talked a lot about the actual agencies and their team members, but you also get involved if there's a fire, or if there's some catastrophe that's a natural disaster, that's not a fire, but some other disaster where we're out there having to serve community. What is it that the chaplaincy program does in those situations for probably our residents?
So there's a time when the lives of the first responders cross with the lives of the people in the community. And those times are usually stressful times for the people in the community. Whether it's the flood in 2011, our chaplains were active during that, or any house fire or anything like that. Our chaplains are dispatched for those events to help with the family. So the police department, for example, if there's an unattended death, they have an investigation to do. If there's a fire, the fire department has a job to do, and that's to put the fire out. What do you do with the family during those times? That's where the chaplaincy comes in. Our departments will call their chaplain or the on-call chaplain, and they will respond to that event and help separate the family from the event so that they can begin to build support around the family. Whether that's helping them call their own pastor or priest, or calling Red Cross and getting things set up for them so that they can continue on after the event is over and to build that support around them. And so that's what we do for Bismarck Police Department, Burley County Sheriff Department, on the unattended deaths or suicide calls or something like that. When somebody's died and the family's present, they will call that chaplain out. Officers are doing their job, and the chaplain has their job then to do to care for the family and build that support around the family, whether it's unattended death, as I said, or even the death notification. We oftentimes get calls from other communities and saying, hey, such and such a person died and we need to let their family know. And so our officers or deputies will take a chaplain with them and then go give that bad news. Again, we'll build that support around them. Yeah. The same with a fire. When their house is on fire and they're losing everything, the chaplain arrives on the scene, separates the family from the firefighters so that they can do their job, and we begin to build that support around those individuals.
And that's critical, because you're right. Law enforcement, fire personnel, they've got a job they got to go do at that moment in time, and
Correct.
that stressful event has occurred, and the individuals, they're in need of some support, and the first person that can be there might be you.
Correct.
And at least you can get them calmed, hopefully, or in a mindset that allows them to reach out to wherever their comfort zone is.
Yeah, again, it's all about resiliency. The chaplain brings a calm to the situation. Even if it is the worst situation, the chaplain's going to bring that calm and that hope that the individuals can be resilient, they can bounce back, build that support around them that others can't build. I think in the fire department services, we call it part of the support services.
Sure.
So that we can build that support around those individuals.
Okay. Let's move on a little bit. You're probably short volunteers at times, or could use more, right? So how do we find more people to maybe be a chaplain, volunteer chaplain, and what's the process they have to go through to be a chaplain?
Currently, all of our chaplains are either pastors or deacons from area churches. And we have had chaplains that were retired pastors or retired deacons or other parts of a church, not necessarily pastors, but have been trained. And so we are always looking for individuals who feel that they have something to offer first responders. Again, first responders are our top priority. Yep. So that they can be resilient and stay in the fight that they're in. It takes a special person, because you do have to be available at 3 o'clock in the morning or at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You have to be able to kind of sometimes drop what you're doing and say, I'm going to go help this individual. But that's part of being a volunteer, whatever you're volunteering in. So if a person would be interested, they could contact me, and I wrote my phone number down so I wouldn't forget it. They can contact me at 701-712-2901 if they're interested, and I will answer any questions and kind of brief them on the process. We have an interview process, background check process, and an application for them to fill out, so that we're not just going to say, hey, anybody can do this. You have to have a certain training, a certain availability, and you've got to be the right person. I don't want to throw anybody into an agency that's going to bring that agency down. And so definitely we go through a process during that time to make sure it's the right person.
Yep. And make sure they're in a good state of mind as well.
Yes.
To be able to be that support. Are you short volunteers?
At this time, we have 2 departments that I'm covering for right now, and that we could use a chaplain for those individuals. And so again, if they just want to call 701-712-2901, that's my office number out at the detention center, and we can begin the process if they're interested.
So can we get some more information out? How do we get more information out to the community about how they can maybe be involved in the chaplaincy program to help support it, or just learn about it? What's the process?
We have a Facebook page. We used to have a website, but it wasn't getting any visits. We're very narrow group of people that we're reaching, and so we didn't really feel that we needed to have a website out there right now at this point. But we do have a Facebook page, Crisis Care Chaplaincy on Facebook, that people can go and follow that and get information on the department about that.
Okay. And so one of the things that is important for your mission to be able to serve is we need to fund it. And there are multiple ways that it gets funded, but one of those ways is the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. So that typically happens in May every year, but we know that there's an event coming up this year in May, and we have speakers. But let's talk about what that is, and then further we'll want to talk about how we fund your department.
Well, first of all, I think it was Mayor Warford, I think, was the first mayor of Bismarck that actually started the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, and that was about the same time the chaplaincy was getting started. And so he kind of put it together that the funds that were made from that Mayor's Prayer Breakfast would go to support the chaplaincy. And so it's been the tradition since then for mayors to continue that and to support the chaplaincy that way. And so again, thank you for continuing that tradition as well. We've had some good speakers over the last few years. Miss North Dakota, Lieutenant Governor, just a number of great speakers. So we have another great speaker this year. Former Major General Al Dorman will be our speaker this year, and we're really excited about that. I got to know Al during DAPL, and our chaplains would be at the headquarters opening every meeting up with prayer, and so we got to really know General Dorman during that time and build a good relationship with him. So really excited about that, and excited about the tradition of the prayer breakfast continuing on. It's great to be able to work with you and Kaylin in the city office, and kind of be the lead in getting your speakers and the venue for this. We really appreciate you letting us be able to do that.
Well, I'm happy to continue it, and certainly hope it continues well beyond my term in office, because I do think it might be your primary fundraiser. I don't know.
Besides going out and hitting the streets and asking for donations from individuals, we do the Aero Safety Day and this, and those are our two biggest fundraisers of the year, besides going door to door and just saying, help,
Yeah. So I'm going to back up a little bit. I wanted to get that on so we didn't forget about it. But in addition to you providing services to the various agencies that provide first responder services to our community, there's another thing you do on a regular basis. Almost every commission meeting, whether it's Burleigh County or City of Bismarck, there's a chaplain there to help us kick off the meeting. And we really appreciate that.
Yeah, again, I think that, I don't know when that started, but I think it's really neat that our city will bring the spiritual aspect in, to be able to pause for just a moment and say, you know what, there's something out there that's bigger than all of us, and let's allow that bigger entity to help us guide our city and direct our city. And so it's been an honor for our chaplains to be able to be a part of that, and to open each city commission meeting and each county commission meeting up in prayer every time, and then lead the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag during those times. So that's a great honor. Appreciate that.
And I greatly appreciate it. I know it's, it certainly is before we formally open up our meeting, but it sets the tone for us to at least take a step back and think about what our real calling is as we are elected officials serving our community.
And there's a tradition in government in regards to having those things done before each meeting. Obviously, in our nation's capital, every Senate, every Congress meeting is opened up by the chaplain in prayer, and so it's just a neat tradition that I appreciate our city doing.
Yeah. So we've talked about a few things. What are things that you see going forward for the chaplaincy that we need to try to find solutions for, or get help for, or what's maybe if you look at strategically, what's your goal?
Well, I think our goal is going to continue just to allow our officers and firefighters, paramedics and dispatchers to be resilient, to keep them in the job, to keep them in the fight, because they are in a battle. There's good forces and there are bad forces in our community. And our first responders, especially our police officers, they're dealing with the 5% of the bad part of the community, but they're dealing with that 95% of the time. Right. Then we have our fire department and our paramedics that are always, I always hear sirens in our community. They're very busy doing the work that they are called to do, whether it's running in towards the sick people or running in towards the flames of the fire. Eventually those things will weigh heavy on them. And so our continuous goal is to allow our first responders the opportunity to be resilient, to do the job to protect our community and to serve our community.
That's wonderful. So if someone wants to be supporting your mission, besides the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast or your other event, I'm sorry, I already forgot it.
Aero Safety Day.
Aero Safety Day. Is there another way they can support you?
Just if you want to give a donation, then you're more than welcome to do that. Again, the phone number is 701-712-2901. That goes directly to my office at the detention center, and so I answer that phone, monitor that phone often, and I can talk to you about ways to give and support during that time. You can look at us on the Facebook page, Crisis Care Chaplaincy on Facebook, and there are always opportunities that direct you towards giving during that event as well.
Okay, perfect. Greg, is there anything we missed that we haven't talked about that I didn't cover in our points here?
No, I don't think so. I think
you want to make sure we let people know about.
I think that I would say that if you are in a crisis, whether there's been an unattended death at your house or your house is burned, and the officers or the firefighters say, "Hey, would you like a chaplain?" Never say no to that offer, because during those times your stress levels are at an all-time high. You could be a little bit in shock because of what is going on. And so having that chaplain arrive on the scene is going to benefit you and your family. It's going to help you begin to rebuild those pieces that have been lost. And so never, ever say no to the offer of bringing the chaplain in when you're experiencing trauma in your life. And then if you are experiencing trauma and it's not in one of those situations where there is a death or a fire or a disaster happening, but you do need help, there are a number of places that you can reach out to. If you're feeling suicidal, for example, call 988. Get help immediately. There's always help for whatever situation you're going through. There's always help, and nothing is going to be so bad that you can't receive help for that.
Well, Greg, thanks for mentioning that, because we focused really on your program or your mission as chaplaincy for crisis, or the crisis care chaplaincy, but reality is we have stresses all the time in our life, and thank you for reminding people that there are other places to call other than just the crisis care chaplaincy when they may be struggling. Again, thank you for what you're doing for our first responders. I appreciate it. Individuals who are maybe watching, please consider prayerfully and keep these chaplains in your prayers, because they have a difficult job too when it goes out. So again, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
And,
thanks for having me.
And you're doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for watching Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz. If you have specific topics or questions you'd like addressed in future episodes, email mschmitz@bismarcknd.gov. Or call the City of Bismarck at 701-355-1300. To learn more about the City of Bismarck, visit bismarcknd.gov or follow us on a variety of social media channels by searching BismarckND.gov. Bismarck Insights is a collaboration between Dakota Media Access and the City of Bismarck. You may find Bismarck Insights episodes on Government Access Channels 2 and 602, as well as on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV devices, on Radio Access 102.5 FM and on demand at freetv.org.